Welcome in and welcome back. I'm so happy to have you here. In this week's video, we are going to be refinishing a desk I bought from Facebook Marketplace. Let's get right into it. So I bought this beautiful desk from Facebook Marketplace for only $75. It was real wood. I had to drive less than an hour to get it, and my father-in-law came with me, so it became a fun excursion. But the problem with it is the desk had the perfect dimensions for what I needed in my office, but it was too dark. Now, if I had a beautiful, moody library type reading room, it would have been the perfect thing. I could have had dark, moody everything, but I don't. My office is very light and bright, and I wanted my desk to go with that aesthetic. On top of that, the desk had a lot of nicks and wears and scratches from use, and so it needed to be refinished anyway, so I thought it was the perfect project to take something old and make it brand new again.
All right, let's see what happens. Are you ready?
Now, there's a few decisions you can make when you're trying to refinish a piece of furniture. When you have the piece, you need to figure out what material it's made out of. In this case, the desk was made of wood, but I'm not an expert, so I can't tell if every single piece of the desk is the same type of wood, if the inside of the drawers are the same as the frame. A lot of times they're not. And so that's something to consider, right? If you're going to stain your piece, you want it to be the same kind of wood or at least a similar specimen. Otherwise, you're gonna be basically like doing a mad science experiment with trying to pick different stains to try to match each other. It's never perfectly quite right, and it might drive you a little bit mad, as it would for me. For that reason, I decided I'm not going to sand down and restain this desk. I'm going to sand down and paint this desk. As far as sanding goes, you need to do it because you want to get out the scratches, you want to get out the blemishes, and you need to make the surface a little bit rougher so that the paint can have something to adhere to and cling onto. Another thing to note is that if you're sanding something that has a really specific edge or trim or something that isn't just a flat surface, rather than using an orbital or an electric sander, you might want to go in and hand sand or use a sponge sanding attachment because you don't want to lose the details of the curvature of the wood, of the fun little, intricacies in the trim. And so that's something to keep in mind, right? Because I wanted this desk to be very, very sturdy and free from other scuffs and damages, I decided that I wanted to prime it. I also decided that because of the type of paint that I was using. I didn't buy any fancy type of paint. When my husband and I refinished our kitchen cabinets, we used a very specific paint that was for cabinet enamel and to really adhere onto there. And even that, we decided to prime ahead of time. And so with this case, I wanted to use a really strong primer to give the paint something really firm to adhere to. It's so cool to see the desk take an absolutely new shape just by having primer on it. Of course, it's not finished looking, but it has like a complete different personality. In addition to that, you want to make sure that you get the drawers painted too, especially the drawer fronts. In this case, I decided to paint the edges of the drawers so that when they're pulled out, they don't mismatch the end result. Of course, you run the risk of scuffing them when they were pulled in and out, but I figured it would be prettier if it was more cohesive to start, and I can always touch up paint over time. I had 3 main samples in 3 different shades of beige, essentially, that I was considering for this desk. I wanted to do something a little bit more interesting, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to just do one color or multiple colors, so I went ahead, I picked one to paint the entire desk, and then I decided I would revisit it from there. Now, as you see this paint go onto the desk, you might be saying, Christina, you're opening the drawers and they're still dark inside. And to you, I say, hold on. Be patient, there is something coming. I'm not leaving the inside of the drawers dark like that, but I'm going to get to them later, so don't worry, I got you. When the first coat of paint was done, I couldn't help myself. I asked my husband to bring the desk back into the office just to see how it was looking with the rest of the space. I loved how clean and smooth it looked. I loved that it matched the aesthetic, but I knew it needed a little bit more, so I got to the next phase. Of course, I couldn't just settle for one color, so what I decided to do was to make the top of the desk a lighter color, than the base of the desk, but I had a plan for how to tie that all together. In order to tie in the top and the bottom, I took the arduous task of taping out every little piece of trim that I wanted to have the color change to. So this was the edges around the drawers, this was the handles on the drawers, the little rings around the legs of the table. I decided that I was going to paint those the color of the top of the desk. That way it would be more cohesive and it adds a little bit of pop of character and personality. I've never seen anyone else do it like this before. I'm sure I'm not the first, but it was a great thing to do to add a little bit of depth and dimension and kind of accentuate the natural texture of the desk. So overall a win, and I would recommend doing this if you need some little bit of inspiration to make something stand out. The desk was looking really good on the inside, but we all know it's what's on the inside that matters most. So I went online on Amazon and I bought some peel and stick wallpaper, tried and true. Nothing crazy, nothing expensive either. I didn't want to spend a ton of money on this because I didn't know if it was going to work out. I didn't know if I wanted to redo it in a year or 6 months or whatever. All I know is that this wallpaper was cheap, it had good reviews, it was in the color scheme I wanted, and it took a ton of time to apply. So let me show you how I did it. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, this took me not one, not two, but maybe 4 or 5 tries just to get the first drawer done. So what you wanna do is roll out the paper and measure it to the size that you need. You're going to want to test fit the piece that you cut. Once you have the piece ready, remove the adhesive and stick it on there. I would suggest using like a credit card or something smooth to get out any air bubbles. In addition to that, I used an X-Acto knife or like a box cutter to trim the excess wallpaper off so that I could make it perfectly snug to the last side of the shape I needed. And then I went in with that same X-Acto knife and I corrected that line a little bit more to give it that polish. Then I repeated that process multiple times to do each side of the drawer on the inside and of course the bottom part of the drawer as well. As you can see, it gives the drawer a whole new look and it matches so much better with the rest of the desk. So I got to work on the other side and of course this time it went a lot faster because I had learned from my mistakes and honestly, I was feeling really good about it. I had a little bit of a snag while I got to the inside drawer of the desk because it wasn't a normal drawer at all. It was a keyboard drawer, I think, where you can pull it out and pull it down, and I think you would type with an old or cool mechanical keyboard, but I'm not that cool. I just have a laptop right now. Anyways, I wanted to line that drawer and it took a little bit of problem solving. Now the back portion of the drawer was flat and easy and not too hard at all. I used the X-Acto knife to carve around the hinges and I think that added a really pretty detail, but it was the very inside part of the drawer, the part that's on the opposite side of the drawer face, that was very hard to wallpaper. Now, maybe I took a little bit of a shortcut because instead of doing 5 different pieces for this, I just took one big piece and I tried to smooth it over and fold it over. It was incredibly hard not to get crinkles doing that process between trying to take the adhesive on and off and everything, but eventually I got it and I was really happy I did it that way because I think the end result looks a lot more seamless and professional than if there had been, 4 or 5 different pieces of wallpaper where you could see all the seams. For a fraction of the cost of what it would have taken to buy a generic desk somewhere else new, I had the desk that I absolutely loved. It had my personality. I was able to use it without feeling guilty or worried of scuffing it up because I knew how to fix it and I was in love. Of course, there were so many things I could have done to the rest of this desk. I could have sealed it. I could have put different hardware. There's of course things I can do into the future, but for now, it's exactly what I like. It's exactly how I wanted it. And I am so satisfied with this project. I hope I've inspired you to know that you too can refinish furniture to make it what you want it to be, to pay a fraction of the cost, and to really have this sense of accomplishment because it is a beautiful thing when you can make something for your home. It's a feeling unlike anything I've experienced before. So if you like this video, if you could give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to this channel, I can't express to you how much this means to me and how much it helps me continue to make videos for you guys like this. I really just want to share what I know and take you all along for the journey. So let me know what you think in the comments below. With that said, I hope you have a great rest of your day and I will see you in the next one. Bye now.